Many of us are undoubtedly tired of hearing the same claims about every monster fighting show being different from the normal crowd, but I doubt you've heard of a show named Cells at Work. The story follows the world of a human's body, which is represented as cities with roughly 37.2 trillion anthropomorphic cells who work together endlessly daily to keep their host healthy. A3803, a new red blood cell, faces danger as pneumococcus bacteria attack her during her duties. Just in time, U1146, a vigilant neutrophil, intervenes and swiftly eliminates the threat. Grateful for his assistance, AE3803 thanks U1146 before continuing on her way. While navigating through the body to locate the lungs, AE3803 enters the map room, only to encounter pneumococcus, who is also consulting the map. Startled, AE3803 tries to retreat, but pneumococcus confronts her aggressively, causing a commotion. U1146 arrives to confront pneumococcus, but the bacteria escapes using a smokescreen tactic, leaving U1146 momentarily hindered. U1146 offers to escort AE3803 to the lungs, a gesture she appreciates. Meanwhile, Helper T-Cell authorizes the Killer T division to eliminate bacteria threatening the lungs. Despite encountering mockery from the division, U1146 advises AE3803 to ignore them. They opt for a shortcut through the dendritic tree, only to find the tunnel closed for repairs. Observing struggling platelets attempting to open the boxes, AE3803 and U1146 lend a hand, earning permission to proceed. Along the way, AE3803 notices U1146 receptor reacting, signaling the presence of nearby viruses or bacteria. Arriving at the lungs, AE3803 and U1146 part ways. U1146 notices his receptor has calmed down, but soon realizes something is amiss. Pneumococcus reveals himself, having hidden inside AE3803's box, and causes chaos. U1146, unable to directly attack Pneumococcus' bacterial shell, devises a plan to lure him into the respiratory tract. Coccus inadvertently triggers an alarm by stepping onto a red line, allowing U1146 to trap him in a shell. The duo then observes as the shell is ejected from the body via sneezing. Afterward, they go their separate ways, having successfully thwarted the threat. A3803, on a nutrient delivery task, gets lost but encounters AA5100, who offers guidance. Along the way, they assist the platelet division and decide to wash fibrin at the canal. Suddenly, they're interrupted by rumbling and an explosion, creating a hole in the city. U1146 arrives in time to save AE3803, warning them of the danger of abrasions. As they're about to fall through the hole, U1146 spots a germ attacking and pushes them to safety. Staphylococcus aureus leads a group of germs in an attack, prompting U1146 to intervene. Despite AE3803's worry, she can assist him. Neutrophils arrive, eliminating the threats. AE3803 directs them to the abrasion site, ensuring the safety of the body. Meanwhile, U1146 fights 4 germs. Despite being immobilized, he defeats them, wondering why they're fighting. A neutrophil alerts him to assist U2048 and warns him to watch his back. U1146 heads towards U2048, pondering the germ's intentions. But 2048 is overwhelmed by germs, but U1146 arrives, saving him and 2 red blood cells. Backup neutrophils arrive as Aureus summons more germs. U4989 is dragged down the hole, and U1146 yells to keep his L-selectin on. Aureus attacks neutrophils, commenting on their abilities. Impressed, U1146 notes she's done research but mentions overlooked platelets, now arriving. They clot the abrasion, preventing reinforcements. As platelets cover the wound, neutrophils easily defeat remaining germs. U1146 finishes off Aureus before falling into the fibrin net. He notices U4989 survived, clinging to a metal rod. A3803 descends to thank U1146, who asks about the other cells. She assures him they'll come thank him later. Trying to leave, she finds her hand stuck to the fibrin net. Platelets drag them away, explaining they're needed for secondary hemostasis. A3803 asks how long they'll be stuck. U1146 says about 3 days. Platelet notes the clot will dry into a scab. Naive T-cell encounters influenza-infected cells and nearly gets killed, saved only by white blood cell. Together with macrophage, they identify the virus as type B and clear the threat despite May's fear. However, he seeks validation from killer T-cell, who scolds him for not contributing. As influenza spreads, the cells engage in combat, but Knave's fear hinders his performance. Killer T saves him again, leading to further scolding. Meanwhile, red blood cell and senior red blood cell learn about the epidemic. Seeking refuge, Knave confides in dendritic cell, who shares his senpai's past as Maeve T-cells. Understanding their struggles, Knave gains new insight. Killer T and the Division feel a sense of nostalgia as they sense someone revisiting their youth. The influenza virus continues to multiply and infect more normal cells to bolster its ranks, overwhelming the defenders. As an influenza tries to charge at the group, a fist breaks through the wall and sends it flying. Then Effector T-cell introduces himself as the former Knave and reveals that he has also proliferated, allowing them to battle the influenza. B-cell also arrives with his antibodies, but he's ignored by everyone as their complementing Effector. After a week of non-stop fighting, the influenza epidemic is all but eradicated. Just then, the group spots a lone influenza cell. The Effector charges at it, only to be slapped aside and sent flying with ease, reverting back to Knave. B-cell sprays his antibodies on it to no effect, causing them to realize that they have a type of outbreak on their hands. The weary cells are roped into another fight as B-cell runs off to make more antibodies. U-1146 and AE-3803 observe the stomach's functions from behind a reinforced glass window. When a signal indicates a bacterial intruder, U-1146 rushes off, leaving AE-3803 behind. He finds eosinophil struggling against the invader and swiftly eliminates it. AE-3803 offers to help eosinophil, who declines and thanks U-1146. They realize they grew up together in the same bone marrow. Then, a red blood cell and a normal cell criticize eosinophil, making her feel self-conscious. As the ground trembles, mast cell releases histamine and basophil is deployed. U-1146 and eosinophil regroup with basophil, who hints at a foreign body invasion. While U-1146 is confused, eosinophil clarifies. They head to the infiltration site where Vibrio parahemolyticus appears. Notified of the situation, Helper T-cell makes an announcement about the bacterial invader. During the fight against the Vibrio, eosinophil, and U-1146 both face challenges. U-1146 sacrifices himself to defeat the Vibrio from within its body. When AE-3803 arrives, she witnesses U-1146's heroic act and consoles eosinophil. Despite their victory, another invader, an Anisakis parasite, emerges and causes chaos. Eosinophil fearlessly confronts and exterminates it, earning praise from her peers for her bravery and expertise. Cedar pollen allergens infiltrate the body through the eyes, bypassing the lack of blinking. Red blood cell is startled by one growing in size through a ventilation shaft. White blood cell arrives, swiftly killing it and deducing it as cedar pollen, common at this time. They acknowledge the allergen's innocence despite causing trouble, feeling sympathy for it. Memory cell warns of a legend coming true despite U-1146's skepticism about the allergen's harmlessness. As more allergens arrive, unintentionally damaging structures, U-1146 sends AE-3803 away and confronts them, questioning the legend's validity. B-cell arrives, spraying the allergens with Ig antibodies, killing them. U-1146 wonders if the threat is over, but Memory Cell warns it's only stalled as the mist will escalate into dark clouds, bringing destructive rainfall. Mast Cell investigates the surge in Ig antibodies, adjusting histamine distribution. U-1146 warns of excessive Ig's harm, confirmed by Memory Cell. He instructs B-Cell to reduce Ig usage, but histamine levels rise unexpectedly. The histamine valve malfunctions, flooding the area and allowing allergens to persist. U-1146 starts believing the legend. Mast Cell realizes the allergen invasion caused the Ig increase. Tears burst, causing a great flood, allowing more allergens to invade. Normal cells confront B-Cell for excessive Ig use, but he blames Mast Cell for histamine overproduction. The angry mob drags Mast Cell to him, sparking a heated argument. U-1146 observes the chaos but emphasizes the necessity of their duties despite overreactions. AE-3803 interrupts U-1146 and Memory Cell with a large black ball. She explains it appeared, and she was tasked with delivering it. Memory Cell doesn't recall it from the legend, but it opens to reveal a robot named Steroid, which destroys the allergens and surroundings. Memory Cell remembers Steroid appearing with world changes to destroy involved elements. Steroid's battery depletes, ending its rampage, coinciding with the allergen's demise. Everyone reconciles, and Memory Cell pledges to remember the incident to prevent its recurrence. 83,803 arrives at her homeland, the red blood marrow, witnessing erythroblasts and a macrophage. She reminisces about her time as an erythroblast, chosen for her red hair. Macrophage instructs them in becoming red blood cells, including delivering oxygen across the room. 83,803, confused, gets lost and breaks through a wall, feeling overwhelmed. In the second lesson, Macrophage warns erythroblasts about encountering bacteria in blood vessels. She enlists a neutrophil to act as Pseudomonas bacterium. Erythroblasts hide, and AE 3803 worries about getting lost again, but Macrophage assures they can't leave the marrow until mature. During the lesson, the neutrophil chases erythroblasts, realizing AE 3803 is missing. AE 3803 hides but encounters a real Pseudomonas. She tries to flee but ends up at a blood vessel door, unable to leave as an erythroblast. Cornered, she defends herself with her hat, enraging the bacterium. Just as it's about to attack, a young myelocyte arrives to protect her. The inexperienced myelocyte is easily overwhelmed by the Pseudomonas, wielding a plastic weapon. The bacterium offers to spare him if he hands over AE 3803, but he refuses, prioritizing self-protection. Just as the Pseudomonas prepares to attack again, the neutrophil associate intervenes, killing it. Macrophage and neutrophil comfort their students, returning them to their marrows. AE 3803 and the myelocyte vow to meet again. Back in the present, AE 3803 accidentally runs over U1146's foot with her cart. She offers him tea, and he agrees to help her. Reflecting on the memory, she wonders if the myelocyte was U1146, but dismisses it as too coincidental. AE 3803 expresses gratitude to U1146 for escorting her. They remark on the peace, but hear screams as a warped normal cell goes on a rampage. U1146 intervenes, killing it. Killer T arrives and an unknown cell observes. They discuss the lack of recent jobs until Natural Killer Cell lands on Killer T while examining the corpse. Natural Killer Cell identifies the cell as cancerous and interrogates the normal cell. Killer T demands information, but Natural Killer insists on working alone. They engage in a series of accidental fights. U1146 advises the normal cell against joining as they'll be targeting his friends. Grateful for the rescue, it's his first time being saved. Arriving at the apartment, the immune cells find it deserted. U1146 suggests reporting to headquarters before proceeding. However, Killer 2 refuses to cooperate with Natural Killer, who takes the normal cell with her, leaving U1146 and Killer T to go their own way. Alone, Natural Killer confronts the normal cell, aware of his true nature as a cancer cell. The facade drops and Cancer Cell prepares to fight. AE 3803's day starts with a series of mishaps, from untied shoelaces to crashing into others, signaling a bad omen. However, her colic settles, bringing some relief. Meanwhile, in the apartment complex, Natural Killer Cell confronts a normal cell, sensing his true identity as a cancer cell. He transforms into Cancer Cell, revealing his plan to spread cancer cells. Elsewhere, U1146 and Killer T patrol, remaining suspicious. They encounter unchecked cancer growth and are ambushed by cancer cells. Natural Killer arrives, chastising them for overlooking the danger. Cancer Cell reveals his scheme to take over the building, leading to its collapse. In another area, AE 3803 and AA 5100 discover red blood cells delivering nutrients to the complex, only to find cancer cells consuming them. Despite the danger, they continue deliveries. The immune cells battle Cancer Cell, but Killer T's pursuit triggers his memories of creation. As Cancer Cell prepares to spread throughout the body, a cleaver mysteriously clips one of his wings, halting his plans. The cells, alerted by Macrophage, join the battle against Cancer Cells. Natural Killer revitalizes, incapacitating Cancer Cell, and U1146 allows him to speak his final words, acknowledging their defiance but asserting the need to eliminate defects. Lost once again, AE 3803 encounters rookie red blood cells, concluding the workplace tour, inspiring her to improve. Determined to prove herself, she heads towards the lungs, where she encounters a malicious virus. U1146 intervenes, saving her but injuring himself. Despite U1146's offer to guide her, AE 3803 resolves to proceed alone. However, she falls into a pitfall, prompting U1146's assistance. Apologetic, she parts ways with U1146, who decides to tail her discreetly. In the inferior vena cava, AA 5100 offers assistance, but AE 3803, focused on her mission, ignores her. Forced to abandon her cart due to heart congestion, she watches a video presentation on heart circulation, determined not to fail. while U-1146 secretly watches, wishing her luck. Inside the heart, AE 3803 finds herself in the crowded right atrium. At the tricuspid valve, she loses her notebook, but U-1146 retrieves it for her and discreetly helps her retrieve her hat. Moving through the pulmonary artery, AE 3803 obtains a cart for her oxygen supply, relieved to find her destination isn't far. Passing through the lungs, she collects carbon dioxide and reflects on U-1146 past aid while enjoying tea. Meanwhile, U-1146 deals with a Campylobacter and assists platelets, following AE 3803's path and thwarting ambush attempts by Streptococcus pyogenes, finally delivering her cargo to a normal cell in a cramped alleyway. AE 3803 is relieved to have completed her journey without getting lost. As she relishes her accomplishment, U-1146 watches from afar and is approached by Killer T-Cell. They discuss AE 3803, with U-1146 expressing hope for mutual understanding and respect among cells. However, Killer T punches him, chastises him, and lectures him for his sentiments. Later, U-1146 meets up with AE 3803, and they discuss her day over tea. At the Killer Cell base camp, Killer T-Cell leads intensive training for the naive T-Cells. Meanwhile, inside the base building, dendritic cell, macrophage, regulatory T-cell, and helper T-cell go about their tasks until helper T is accidentally struck by a naive T-cell during training. Rushing over, Killer T apologizes, attributing the incident to the intensity of the exercise. However, helper T is upset and reprimands Killer T for his impulsive behavior, while Killer T defends it as necessary for the cell's training to follow helper T's orders effectively. As the two debate, dendritic cell reveals to the naive cells that their superiors were classmates in thymus school. A flashback shows the young helper T, Killer T, and regulatory T cells in thymus school. During the exercise, Killer T identifies an antigen board, but before he can attack it, helper T intervenes and breaks it, earning praise from their instructor. Killer T defends his actions, claiming he spotted the antigen first, but helper T apologizes, citing inadequate reaction time. Despite Killer T's attempts to retaliate, helper T easily overpowers him, leaving his fellow trainees impressed. In the dorms, helper T and Killer T share a room and discuss sleeping arrangements, leading to a minor scuffle broken up by regulatory T. She informs them of the previous occupant's departure before leaving. The next day, Killer T struggles in training but refuses to quit. That night, helper T catches him practicing a secret art and joins in reluctantly. Unbeknownst to them, regulatory T and dendritic observe from the balcony. Over time, they become apprentice T cells preparing for positive selection. Many fail, but regulatory T and helper T succeed. Before Killer T's turn, helper T offers advice, and despite struggling, Killer T passes with the help of his secret art. Killer T vows to become more confident and muscular, while helper T pledges to loosen up. Regulatory T and dendritic observe from a distance. In the present, helper T and Killer T discover dendritic showing the naive T cells a scrapbook of their seniors' past. Panicked, they try to grab the book to burn it, as regulatory T believes they haven't changed since their school days. AE 3803 makes her delivery in the narrow alleyway and encounters platelets afterward. Continuing her journey, she drops off her carbon dioxide at the pulmonary sac and refuels with oxygen. Senior AA 5100 joins her briefly, expressing concern for AE 3803's tendency to attract trouble, but AE 3803 assures her she'll be fine. Later, AE 3803 is attacked by a germ demanding her oxygen. Saved by a monocyte in a hazmat suit, AE 3803 is grateful but puzzled by the monocyte's awkward demeanor. U-1146 emerges and explains the monocyte's role and background. Afterward, they part ways. At a rest stop near the pulmonary vein, AE 3803 encounters the monocyte again and reunites with the platelets. Suddenly, a swarm of Staphylococcus aureus invades from a nasal cavity abrasion. AE 3803 is attacked, but U-1146 rescues her once more. With the help of other white blood cells, they manage to reduce the Staphylococcus aureus numbers. However, the virus combines into a giant form, posing a new threat. The giant Staphylococcus aureus overwhelms the white blood cells using fibrin in a move called coagulase. It's revealed that the virus invading the body seeks revenge against the white blood cells. However, a group of monocytes appears, revealing themselves to be macrophages. They overpower the Staphylococcus aureus, causing it to demerge. Left alone, the single Staphylococcus aureus tries to attack the macrophage, but perishes in the attempt. With the Staphylococcus aureus issue resolved, AE-3803 approaches the head macrophage and asks how they can perform two jobs at once. The macrophage politely responds that it's a secret. During a severe heat wave, AE-3803 and AA-5100 navigate the body's veins. Despite the discomfort, AA-5100 remains hopeful that hydrosis will help. U-1146 arrives, disposing of bacteria despite the heat trapping him in his clothing. At a rest stop, MI-3477 notes the absence of epidermis despite hydrosis. Red blood cells move to regulate heat. Vertigo strikes due to heat stroke. Bacillus cereus emerges, fleeing from U-1146 to spread later. U-1146 pursues, leaving AE-3803 and AA-5100 with platelets. Backup fails to stop Bacillus cereus, leading U-1146 to collapse from heat stroke, taunted by the bacteria. In the Sweat Command Center, in order to increase osmotic pressure for sweat is hindered by low sodium levels, risking dehydration. Weakened, U-1146 faces Bacillus cereus, who showcases the city in flames before tossing U-1146 off a cliff. U-1146 barely holds on with his knife, but is attacked by Bacillus cereus tendrils. Just as all seems lost, a fluid transfusion restores hydration levels. U-1146 surprises Bacillus cereus, overpowering and killing him. AE-3803, AA-5100, and platelets witness U-1146's victory. Afterward, AE-3803 helps U-1146 cool down. In the pulmonary alveoli, AE-3803 diligently deposits KO2 for conversion into oxygen, supervised by AA-5100. Assigned to train NT-4201, a rookie red blood cell, AE-3803 recalls her own newcomer struggles but feels flustered by NT-4201's apparent knowledge. Despite trying to teach, AE-3803 feels inadequate as NT-4201 appears already skilled. Their work is interrupted by a wrong turn towards the lymphatic vessels, leading to a reprimand from killer T-cell. Returning to their path, AE-3803 and NT-4201 encounter U-1146 battling a germ. NT-4201 criticizes the white blood cell's violence, surprising AE-3803. After the battle, AE-3803 forgets a towel for NT-4201 as shower area, irritating her. Later, introducing NT-4201 to other cells, AE-3803's repeated wrong turns disappoint NT-4201. They encounter U-1146 again, who notices AE-3803's distress. As the day progresses, an explosion rocks the body, causing devastation. AE-3803 and NT-4201 survivors are directed by U-1146 to the center, where they're swept away by a tide of red blood cells. Meanwhile, a high-level emergency meeting declares a state of emergency due to critical damage, tasking all cells with stopping the wound immediately. NT-4201, urged by AE-3803, emphasizes the urgency of their task. U-1146 battles antigens near the wound, surprised by the absence of red blood cells. Following the hemorrhagic shock, U-1146 discovers the absence of red blood cells, learning from a normal cell that they were sucked up by the wound, leaving the body in a perilous state of oxygen deprivation and cold. Meanwhile, AE-3803 and NT-4201 arrive at the lungs, finding cells gasping for air due to the lack of red blood cells. They drop oxygen and return to witness a violent lung reaction due to oxygen imbalance. Recognizing the severity, they press on to deliver oxygen throughout the body, facing strong winds at the wound site. In another area, tissue cells attempt to increase blood pressure, worsening the hemorrhage. As the heavy blood loss leads to snowfall, AE-3803 and NT-4201 brave a blizzard, with NT-4201 collapsing from the cold. Despite NT-4201's protests, AE-3803 continues alone, driven by duty. However, she collapses in despair, only to be revived by the arrival of new red blood cells led by DB-5963. With renewed determination, they join AE-3803 in delivering oxygen, halting the crisis and saving the body. Grateful for her efforts, U-1146 thanks AE 3803, who learns from DB 5963 that they were mysteriously sucked into the body. As the crisis ends, AE 3803 reflects on her growth and encounters NT 4201, who realizes the importance of experience. With the crisis averted, AE 3803 and U-1146 part ways, with AE 3803 encountering the normal cell once again, ready to deliver oxygen. And with that, our story comes to an end. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.